Hello everyone, it's Silvia from Voyager Tarot. Welcome to my channel. It's really early in the morning, so I have to use artificial light and I hope that it's going to be enough. So this morning I woke up early because I feel like it's a spring cleaning day of sorts, and I was looking at my storage of tarot and oracle decks, and I was looking at all of the decks that I've got, and I just realized that I don't actually remember what's in here. I mean, I know that it sounds a bit off, but it's just that sometimes I change bags. So I told myself that I was going to remember which deck I put in which bag, but I actually don't. I think it's because a few of these went in the bag, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, and then I never felt the need to use them, and so I never looked for them, or maybe I did look for them, but after a while I just got tired of looking, because I do have a lot of decks. So I've got more or less 450 to 470 depending. I do buy a lot of decks, but then I also declutter, so let's say it's a number that is fluctuating a lot. So today I thought, okay, I had a look at all of my bags, tarot and oracle, and for a few of them, which are the ones that I actually use the most, I knew straight away which decks were inside. But I just realized that I've got at least a dozen here that I have absolutely no idea. So let's have a look together. So how do you call it? It's not an unboxing because you're not taking something out of the box. It's taking out something out of the bag. So I don't know what the name for that is. But we're going to have a look. Hopefully I will rediscover some gems that I forgot I had, because that has happened. Let's see. Okay, so let's start with this one, which is a burlap bag with this really beautiful image on the front that I bought exclusively to put a deck inside. However, if I just look at it like that, I have no idea what deck this is. Now I do know, because I had a bit of a sneak peek, and it's the Oracle of Oddities, the 3 Oracle of Oddities versions. So I put them all together. I actually bought them all together. They were not divided. They didn't come to me in a box, so that was a matter of, you know, finding a bag anyway. And it is true that sometimes I love bags, but I need to remember what decks I put in them, because otherwise I just don't feel like reaching out for them. And what happens is that sometimes I might not even reach out for these decks because I forgot that I have them, or rather I know that I got them in my stock. Like for someone, if someone asks me, do you want to buy, would you like to purchase the Oracle of Oddities, I say no, I don't need to do that because I've got it. However, it doesn't feel like I want to use it in my practice because it's just not out there. Look, it might be something, the card deck is phenomenal, by the way. It might be something that it's just happening to me. I don't know. Let's see, let's find out. Drop me a comment in the section below if you also have this kind of, you forget that you have a deck, or rather you do know you have it but you forget to use it if you don't see it. Because what I did when I had to face my biggest storage solution a few months ago when I moved to a new place, I actually found a really good solution in which I can actually see all of my decks, because they're stored on shelves and also on a couple of trolleys. But I do see them, I see the back, so I immediately identify which deck they are. And of course I see the bags as well, but because they're not transparent bags, I don't see the content. And so it just happens that I just don't know, you know, I don't feel like using them if I don't see them. I would be very curious to know if that's only me, or that if that's something that happens to others as well. Please do understand, I have been collecting for over 35 years now, and almost 36 as a matter of fact. Next month it will be 36 years that I've received, since I received my very first deck. And so when you're a long-time collectors and you have so many items, but also such a high turnover between items, it's not easy. I'm not trying to find any kind of excuse, but I'm also trying to paint a picture and give a background story to it. So I'm just really curious what your feelings are regards to that. So do you use bags when you store your decks? And if you do, and if you have a lot of decks, do you also have sometimes issues in remembering what decks are in the bags? It's also because most of the time bags are like, unless they're really nice, they're like black velvet. And I kid you not, I've got something like 10 black velvet bags from different decks. So it makes it even more difficult because they all look the same when you put them on the shelf. So unless you organize, in my case, I do organize them by theme, but there might be, you know, 3 or 4 decks in a black velvet bag that are related to botanical themes. So that doesn't help. Anyway, this was the Oracle of Oddities, the 3 printing. I really like this deck, it's beautiful. I wish, you know, I want to use it more, I really do. So the next one is this one, and I really have no idea. It's a nice bag with 2 color strings, and you know, it's this kind of bag is also prevents, at least it tries to prevent the humidity from seeping in. So let's have a look. Again, no idea. Oh, okay. See, I knew there would have been a few eureka moments in this video. Okay, so obviously this is the Bonfire Tarot by Bybee and West. I love this deck, it's so beautiful, the colors are amazing, and I know that now there is a new version with the linen cardstock. However, I have watched a couple of flip-throughs or walkthroughs, and I have to say I actually prefer the gloss version because it is one of those decks that really accentuates the colors and uses colors as a medium, you know, to communicate something. Obviously the choice of colors, the clash between some colors, for example, the high contrast, the high saturation, it is very meaningful. It's not just a filler. The color in this deck is not just used as some kind of a, you know, in between lines, for example. It does have a soul of its own. And so because of that, I believe that the glossy finish is actually a little bit better than the matte one or the linen one, because it makes the colors pop up so much more. This is the 7 of Cups, for example. Clearly you use the color in a certain way. And the flames on the King of Wands, Knight of Wands. So I don't know, it's something that I know that there's a lot of people preferring the linen cardstock, and generally speaking I also prefer the linen cardstock because, well, it makes it easier to shuffle. I mean, there's no 2 ways around that. This deck, I bought it many years ago and it's still sticking together, and granted it might also be because ever since I put it in a bag I kind of forgot to use it, you know, and then it just so happens that it doesn't get smooth if you don't use decks. They don't smoothen out when they hit this kind of coating on the top, and then they tend to glue together. But how beautiful is this deck? It's just amazing. I think honestly this is the most beautiful deck by Bybee. She's also created the Word of Sarah Howard, which is an oracle deck, and the Tarot Avatar, which is another tarot deck based inspired by Frida Kahlo. And I think she's also working on another deck now, because I do follow her Instagram page. She's working on another deck, and I think it's going to be black and white, which is going to be very interesting because I do tend to really appreciate the way Bybee uses color. So definitely going to want to use this deck much more. Let's have a look at the next one. Now this one is on a Los Carabeo bag, and I think that this, well, obviously it's an Empress, but I think it's from let's say one of your popular RWS. It's not, I don't know what deck I've got in here, honestly. It's oh, okay, see, it's got nothing to do with that. So because I received a couple of these because they were giving them out on the with the Total Tarot Collection magazine, and I think by mistake I received two, and so I used them for a couple of different decks. And this one is clearly not not an RWS. So this one is the, I think it's called the Forest of Enchantment deck. Is by Llewellyn. I'm not entirely sure of the title, I'm sorry, because what happens with these decks is like Llewellyn, generally speaking, uses the name of the deck obviously on the box, but then they change the name of the deck into the guidebook. So I do have the guidebook, but it may have a totally different name, and so I forgot the name of this one. It's a really beautiful deck, and it's one of those a deck that I really like to use in autumn or fall. To me, it's got that kind of vibe, the kind of vibe in which, in Australia, because I have to specify that, because what happens is that in Australia, our autumn or fall is not that cold, to be honest. And it's actually a really, really nice kind of atmosphere. The temperatures are not so hot anymore, but you can still go out for really nice and pleasant walks. But the colors tend to, you know, pale. You don't have the striking colors of summer anymore, but you still have the greenery. So Australia has, obviously we got evergreens pretty much all over because gum trees or eucalyptus are evergreen. However, we do have, if you go to Tasmania, for example, we have what we call the phenomenon of the turning of the fagus, because the fagus tree actually is turning to, let's say, yellow, red, that rustic color of the leaves in autumn. And I've actually been down there for a photo shoot for our TV show a few years ago, and it was just amazing. It is a really beautiful thing to film, because you can still see the snow on the mountain, on the Cradle Mountain in Tasmania, and then you know you've got all the water, the rivers coming out of it, and you've got these really beautiful trees turning red. In any case, so this is a beautiful deck, and I really want to start using it again. And now that I know that it's in, see, I also need your advice. What would you do? Would you put a sticker? I might actually put a sticker on these decks, on the sides, like that. So when they're actually shelved, I can read the name of the decks, I guess. I don't know. If you have any idea, please drop me a line, drop me a comment below, and let me know what would you do in order to be able to know you know, which deck is in which bag. And please be kind, in the sense that I know that it sounds like, oh come on, if you only have 10 bags. I have something like 50 bags. It's just that I only have, let's say, 12 in here today, because these are the 12 that I don't remember, but the other 38 I actually do remember what decks are in there. Let's move to the next one. Let's see this one, for example. See, it doesn't really help that I've got 2 or 3 with the same color bag, although I do appreciate this bag because it's really good to preserve decks. Okay, so the Antique Anatomy. So you know what? I could actually store together the Antique Anatomy and the Oracle of Oddities. It is the same creator. So this is the mass market edition. However, I noticed that everyone has been bagging this cardstock, and I actually don't mind it. It's very papery, but it's very sturdy as well. So I think that either in Australia we got access to a different kind of edition, or this is an older edition, because I know that now, so this one was actually called the Antique Anatomy Tarot, but I think that now there's an edition that calls it the Modern Reader. I'm not entirely sure, but I've seen it in a different box once, and I've had it in my hands, and I actually could tell you that that edition that doesn't say the Antique Anatomy Tarot is very thin. The cardstock is not good at all. So I understand how someone could actually complain about that. I love this Tower card. It's so beautiful. So this is a very, obviously very quirky kind of deck, and I think that you know, it pairs really well, not just with, for example, the Oracle of Oddities, because, well, of course, it's the same author. But I actually paired it up with the Zombie Tarot a couple of times, and together with the kitchen table. Is it the kitchen table or the kitchen tarot? The housewife, sorry, it's the housewife tarot. And I just really love the progression. You start with the housewife tarot, and then you morph into the zombie tarot, and then you use the antique anatomy. And I think that it shows you the evolution, you know, through the zombie apocalypse, and then, you know, landing onto the antique anatomy, because that's all that is survived of human race after the zombie apocalypse. And I think it really pairs up well with those decks, and obviously with the Oracle from the same author as well. So that's probably solving the issue with the Oracle of Oddities. I'm just gonna store them together, which means that I will more easily remember which one this is. And now let's have a look at this one. This is thinner, it might be an Oracle deck. So I bought these bags in Thailand for like $1 each. So I got heaps of these because they're really beautiful, by the way. But I've got the same problem, so they all look the same. And you know, if you want to visualize something, you need some difference. Okay, I know what this is. This is the door of some Lipith, if I pronounce it correctly. So it's not a tarot deck. And it is a divination system, but it's based on poker card, as you can see, and also it does have the size of a poker card. It's a very, how should I say this? It reads a lot like, well, playing cards, but also perhaps a way between Keeper and Lenormand. It's a very straight shooter, very direct. I just really, really love the art style. It is so beautiful. I think I got it when I went to Thailand. I went to the Kinokuniya store in Central World in Bangkok, which is a massive Kinokuniya store. It's not the biggest one I've seen, because the biggest one I've seen is the flagship store in Tokyo from Kinokuniya. But it is it's the one that has got the largest collection of tarot and oracle decks that I've seen. And they also have a really large collection of Lenormand decks and Keeper decks, and also divination, you know, other divination systems that are not necessarily tarot nor oracle nor Lenormand, etc. And I really, really like it. I haven't had time yet to really get into the cards, because there are some cards that don't necessarily tell me much, like this one. Again, I know that it says passion on the card, so that can help, and obviously it is the Ace of Hearts. So, you know, the correspondent to the Ace of water, let's say. But it's just as beautiful, the art style. I really, really appreciate the art style. It's a beautiful, beautiful deck. So again, I feel like I'm missing out by not knowing that it was inside that bag, and I feel like I really want to, you know, take it out more often and just play with it. And damn, we've got a big one, and I really don't know which one this is. Oh, okay. See, the Voyager Tarot. This is a really beautiful bag, by the way. I got it for a different deck when I bought, I think it was the Oracle of Oddities, that I bought it secondhand, and the person didn't send me, they didn't have the boxes anymore, so they sent me the deck in this bag, and I really, really like it. And yes, this is the Voyager Tarot. It's actually an older edition from 1984. I don't think it's a first edition, but it's one of the older ones. And I really like this deck. It was my first photo collage deck. I bought it together with a friend of mine because she was really insisting. She was like, no, we need to get this. We need to get this deck. And so, okay, so let's get it. But back then I wasn't into collage. How fun is that? So now I really appreciate it. I think it's my favorite. There's been a few photo collage decks in my collection. I've been liking them and appreciating them and also playing with them, but a couple I had to rehome because I just wasn't clicking with them. I never had that problem with this deck. I feel like probably because it was the first of the collage decks, and also in general, not just in my collection, but in general, I feel like back then in the mid 80s, early 80s, you wouldn't have had. Not that I started collecting in 1988. Beginning of 1988. So in 1984 I wouldn't have had the opportunity to buy this deck, and I don't think my mom and dad would have let me, to be honest. But when I got it, I think that even then there weren't that many around, and that was revolutionary. You know, it was really an inspiring deck. It was a pioneer. They were using this kind of medium to express and to try and convey the meaning of the cards. And I think that they did an excellent job. I've never had any problem in reading with these cards, because I feel that there's always the element and the symbols. For example, this is the Eight of Cups, and apart from the fact that of course you see the 8 cups, okay, that's fine. But you also see the waterfall, and that reminds you of the symbology of the traditional RWS. Look at this death card, it's beautiful. So this is the Voyager. I have to say, even this one, I haven't used it in such a long time. And yet I do have a lot of Oracle decks that would pair up really well with this one, so I really want to use it. So now I know that it's in this bag. Let's see if I can remember it for next time. I should do a video 6 months from now and test myself and see whether I remember which deck is in which bag. So this one though is, I think I know which one it is. I'm not entirely sure, but that's because among all of the anti-humidity kind of bags that I've got, this is the only lilac one. And I think it's the Lion Strider Tarot by Sholo Thompson. Yes, it is. See, my memory sometimes is not too bad. It's bad, but it's not too bad. I really like this deck. What happened was that I lost. Either I rehomed it, but I don't think I did. But I had the Winter Seer Oracle, which I really, really like. And I haven't been able to find it. So that's why I'm saying I lost it. But secretly, I'm still hoping that I haven't lost it. I'm still hoping that I just misplaced it. And it is by the same author, the Winter Seer Oracle, but they pair up so well, I believe, because the Winter Seer is also, let's say, more animal-based rather than botanical, because Sholo is also the author of the Hadric Botanical Oracle, which is fantastic, really beautiful. The color tones are really, really warm and nice. But because it is based on botanicals, it actually, you know, the Winter Seer pair up better than the Hadric, or the Hadwitch, sorry. Hadric was the name of Harry's owl, wasn't it? Yes, I think it was, from Harry Potter. So I do prefer to pair them up, the Winter Seer with the Lion Strider, but I haven't found it. I still think that it's somewhere, because I do, if you can believe it, ever since I moved, I still have a couple of boxes of decks that I haven't gotten around to opening yet. I know I really should, but it's just been really hectic with the holiday season, and now we're preparing to go overseas. And so, you know, sometimes you just don't have time. So, but how beautiful is this deck? I really love it. I love the art style, I love the simplicity of it, the minimalist style that uses the contrast between the color and the white spaces of the background. It really works. It works really well, because she still retains the meaning of the cards on the images. So that's something that I really appreciate. Definitely, I kind of knew this one. I kind of knew which one it was. Let's see, because I've got another 3 and I have absolutely no idea what's inside. So this one is also a unique color of this type of bag, so I should remember, but I don't. So let's have a look. Let's see if I can, I have no idea. Oh, okay, yes, I know which one this is. This is the Dark Goddess Tarot. It's the mass market edition, and let's say I adore the book. The book is fantastic. The tarot deck is amazing. However, I'm not a fan, and I can also go as far as to say that I don't mind too much the glossiness of the cardstock. What I really don't understand, because I actually don't understand why they put this banner for the names of the goddesses, because perhaps in something like this doesn't bother me too much, or maybe here it's fine. But there's a couple of cards specific. There's a Baba Yaga, where the banner is actually cutting off her hair or the top of her head. And I don't know, but like for example, in a card like this, I'm absolutely fine with this banner. Not my style, but you know, I can live with it. It's not a big deal. This one would have been better, you know, to just have this the drawing completely free from the banner, but that's okay. It's not too bad. I guess the majority of the cards are okay, and the major problem comes from when they're not okay. Then you're really, like in this case, it really feels like it's pushing the Baba Yaga down. I remembered it slightly worse than what it actually is, so perhaps in my memory I got kind of influenced by the idea that this deck is doing a bad job with the titles. Fair enough. It does cut off a few of the elements sometimes. In any case, I don't mind, because this deck is so beautiful. It is actually one of those decks that I used a few years ago as a deck, as a study deck, let's say. I used to do a lot of practice on changing, let's say, changing goddess every month, and so I was looking into the goddesses. La Llorona is not a goddess, by the way, is a Mexican legend about a woman that was lost her children, and so she was, I think they drowned, and so she was condemned to live forever, and she was stealing children and taking them with her at the bottom of the lake or the sea or wherever she was. And I think it's mostly goddesses though, but there might be, as you see, like La Llorona, there might be other than goddesses. In any case, I was pulling a card every month, and I was doing a thorough research on the goddess that I was pulling. And the book is amazing, as I said, but also it was very interesting to do some research outside of the book. And I was doing my prompts every day, so I really enjoyed Lorelei. I spent more than a month on Lorelei because it was a very famous legend. Lorelei is the legend of the enchantress. So basically, it's a Celtic myth of this goddess of the sea. She acted like some kind of a mermaid, you know, playing her lyre and distracting the navigators that were crossing. And obviously, unfortunately, because they got distracted by her charm and her singing, they sank their boats. So I really appreciate being able to know these things thanks to the fact that I've been using and studying this deck. So I feel that this deck has actually been used enough. Not that I would want to rehome it, because I really love it, but I don't feel like in the other decks I feel like I want to use them now that I've seen where they are. In this case, I'm kind of happy to know where it is, and kind of happy that I haven't lost it, but I don't feel like I want to use it because I have done an extensive study of this deck before. And now I think I've got two left. Okay, this one, it has to be, I really hope that it is an oracle deck that I used to have, used to use a lot in 6 months ago, hopefully, because I want to pair it up with a tarot deck that I just recently bought. Yes, it is. So this is the Sacred Nature Oracle. It used to be, when I got it, These are the backs, beautiful. When I got it, it used to be my favorite oracle deck. I used it so much. I paired it up with a few tarot deck, like the Tarot of the Nightfall, and another couple of decks where you had this kind of style. It also pairs up rather well with the Somnia Tarot if you have it. But then I felt like, you know, obviously you get new decks in and then you want to try the new ones, you want to play with the new toys, and then you just discard the older toys and you just put them on the shelf. And obviously because it was in a bag and not in a box, I wasn't aware of it. I think they will pair up really, really well with the Carrie Paris's deck, what's it called, the Relative Tarot as well. But I'm very excited because I just purchased a deck that should come this week, hopefully, fingers crossed. And I'm not going to say what it is, but I'm going to do an unboxing and I'm going to pair it up with this oracle deck, and I'm going to show you because I think that it pairs up really, really well with that new tarot deck that I just purchased. It's a beautiful oracle, and let me tell you, the guidebook is fantastic as well. It used to be an indie deck, and I don't know if you've got it. Can you please let me know what the cardstock and the size is like in the indie deck, because it is slightly bigger than what my hands can actually deal. And if the indie deck was slightly smaller, I would actually look into searching for a copy, because it might be easier for me to actually shuffle and handle this deck. But this is such an amazing deck. I remember I was in Thailand when I got it, and I used to read for all of the travel companions, and they were stoked. Everyone was looking at this deck and they were like, my god, it's really beautiful. Like, it's actually genuinely stunning and gorgeous. And I love the fact that there's this pairing up of the plants and the characters in the photos. Really, really amazing. So this one I'll definitely keep it aside, because I definitely want to use it when I receive the new tarot deck that I was talking about. This is going to be really interesting to use. And now I've got the last one, and I really have no idea. Now that I've been through all of these ones, I honestly don't remember what's in this bag. And it's also because it's a very anonymous kind of bag, and it doesn't really have... So that's what I'm thinking. Perhaps I should put a sticker on the side just to remember, I don't know, to memorize it in an easier way. Okay, I got it. So this one is a bit of an experiment that I did. As you can tell, it's the soul cards. So this is a mix of the oracle, the soul cards number 1 and the soul cards number 2. And it's done with the technique of the touch painting, which is very interesting. So this was a bit of an experiment that went on for like a few months, a year and a half ago or something like that, or perhaps even further away. And because these cards don't have any title, but many of these cards actually have the kind of vibe you would find in a tarot deck, a lot of us participated in a bit of an experiment on either Instagram or YouTube. And we basically looked at the cards and we tried and assign a card for each of the 78 cards of the tarot deck. Now there's a lot more than 78 in the soul cards number 1 and the soul cards number 2. So you do have a kind of a choice, let's say. But I have to tell you, I'm happy about 90% of these. I mean, of course, some of them have a very straightforward kind of vibe to them, like the 6 of Cups, for example, in this case, and the Star card in this case. But some, I don't know, I think that it took, that this one is clearly a Lover's card for me. So I think that it was because, and this is clearly a 4 of Cups. So I think it was because of a... some of these cards being so clearly relatable to some of the tarot cards that more and more people, and this is a full, so more and more, and you know, the 10 of Cups, of course, more and more of us felt like there was that kind of possibility to relate these cards to a tarot card. And it was actually an excellent kind of exercise, I can tell you that, because you need to know a lot about your tarot. You need to know a lot about the symbols, but what you need to know, and you can't study that, it's one thing that you cannot memorize, is the feel of the cards. So to know, for example, that this feels like a Hierophant card, because of course there's the blessing gesture of the Hierophant in this case, or to know that this feels like a Six of Swords because the person is on the boat and the waters are choppy, etc. Or to know that this feels like the King of Cups because of the fish, and also the fact that it looks straight to you, etc. I feel that there's a lot of things that you can relate to in these images, like the World card, for example, or the Sun. And it was a fun exercise, but it also was an eye-opener in the sense that you really felt like you were doing a work of research. You were researching what the card meant to you as a reader, and that is actually the whole deal about touch painting, is about emotions and what kind of emotions are triggered by looking at these paintings. And also technically you'll also be able to do the painting yourself, and it's just incredibly beautiful, I believe. That what happened was that I feel like it wasn't really used, or in my case I used it for a few readings every now and then, but then I don't know, for one reason or another, it stopped clicking, it stopped resonating with me. After I did that work of assigning, each and every card to a tarot card, I felt like my practice with this deck was complete, and so I didn't feel like I needed to do something else with it. I feel that it is a very beautiful deck, whether you use it as an oracle or some meditation cards, or whether you use, in this case, you participated to this kind of challenge and you also assign the cards to a tarot card. I feel that it's one of those decks that really have a meaningful position, meaningful place in my collection, because of the varying intensity of the cards, but also because of the very special way in which I actually used it. So I think that was it actually, because all of the other, I do have many other bags, but as I said, I kind of know my way around them. But this was so much fun, and I'm so happy that I found a few decks that I forgot that I had. I'm kind of concerned that I cannot find the Winter Seer, because that might mean that it's actually gone. Which makes me really sad. But I'm also very happy that I found the Sacred Nature, because as soon as I receive a new tarot deck, I'm gonna try a pairing, and I think it's gonna work. So as I said, just let me know in the comments below, for example, what would you do? Would you put a ticket, like I don't know, like an etiquette or label on the side, or a sticker or something like that, just to remind yourself of what's inside? I think that might be a good idea. Or maybe storing it together, like the Antique Anatomy and the Oracle of Oddities, because they're the same creator. I don't know. If you have bags, please let me know what you do in order to remind yourself. But for now, thanks so much for being here, and see you next time.